Think it's possible. Is it possible for there to be other life, other life, not just interdimensional life, from other realms, but what about other life actually from the realm that we live in? What if it's possible for that to be? Hello, Apple Brooks. What if that's possible? We know we have life in the ocean, like there's different types of fish and stuff like that, and there's octopuses, big squids. You have what's that fisherman, Moby Dick, and you have like the Leviathan. You have Cthulhu, have all this other stuff. Good morning. So we know that a lot of the oceans, how much percent of the oceans has not been explored? Is it like 78 or maybe 80 or 90% of the oceans have not been explored? Um, then couldn't that be said about the earth itself? The earth itself. Good morning, you all. Good morning. Like, inside the volcanoes, we know there's lava that comes out of the volcanoes. There's UFO activity that is seen at the volcanoes. If you missed that video last night, some people, I read some of the comments. I didn't log into my YouTube. I just read some of the comments. There's a loud screeching noise. I can't watch it. It hurts my ears. I have tinnitus, and it made my tinnitus worse. Well, I think that happens around I don't know, somewhere between the 8 and 12-minute mark or something. That high-pitched noise, that's coming from the volcano area itself. That is what is picked up. And let me do this jacket like this, you all. Okay, so another one is poking on the face. So it's safe to watch after 15 minutes if you don't want to hear it. It only lasted for a few minutes at all, but it was a high pitched, and it came from that footage. So is there live? Hello, good morning. Yeah, Queensland, Australia. Um, you was just watching that, yeah. So inside the earth, have we explored that? Other than drilling for oil, we got to get that oil out of the earth. We do. We got to have that oil, and we got to have all those precious minerals from the earth. But even those, they only drill down so far inside the earth. And it is said that there's like a molten, like a iron ball or something molten inside the earth. It's like really hot, 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 hot. What if it ain't? What if it ain't? What if, and like the gates of hell? The gates of hell, I think, is a place. Is it like in the Russian area, something, a great big old pit that opened up out of the ground? It's like methane gas. It's always on fire. It's always on fire. Now, if you lived inside the earth and you knew the inhabitants above the earth, they were drilling down so far in the earth to get oil and stuff, you wouldn't want them to go down all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way inside the earth. You would create some type of a barrier. Wouldn't you create some type of a barrier if you wanted to protect your habitat? You would. It's like Earth has uh, like magneto shield around it, a magnetosphere, plasma sphere or something to protect the Earth itself. Okay, why? It just like puts it like in a bubble or something like that. But if you lived inside the Earth, really hypothetically speaking, but not so hypothetically, you would want to protect, you would want to have that great big old thing of fire. No, you're not coming down here. We're going to put this methane here. You come in here, you're going to have this big fire or something like that. But I just wonder, is it all myth? Is it like Journey to the Center of the Earth, and they go and they see big, gigantic plants, gigantic dinosaurs and stuff like that, you all? All of that, like and then Admiral Byrd going to the center of the earth. And I guess he went through Antarctica to get to the center of the earth. When was that? Like 1947 or so? Um, 1947 or so. And he met the leader of the inhabitants of the middle of the earth. And there is like some kind of theory, some conspiracy theory that Hitler went to the Antarctica, and then it's like boom, lived out the rest of his life or something like that. But we got armies from all over the world. Do we not have like scientific stations, things set up at Antarctica, the base in Antarctica and stuff for scientific studies? And you can't really see anything if you go to the Google Maps because they got it all white. And there was like one supposed image. Good morning. One supposed image of like a big hole up there, a big hole up there. And I remember when I was a child, they say, if you're on top of the earth up here, directly underneath you, you're going to see somebody from China is going to be underneath there. You ever hear about that? It's like up from here on the other side of you, if you would go through the be China, something like that. I don't know why they would say something like that. I don't. Um, yeah, but inside the earth, and there's some conspiracy theories. Again, we just call them that. It's a theory that inside the earth are these tunnels. Well, there are tunnels. I'm not going to say that's not conspiracy or a theory. No, there are tunnels, deep underground caverns inside the earth. And some of these are like salt mines and lava tubes. And even like in Nevada, we did something about, what was it? The really Death Valley. Death Valley. I did a short video on here long ago, showed some visuals of this man who was in Death Valley. And he went in this cave. His wife had passed. She died. And he was just, on an adventure. He entered a cave, and it led him to this big open area, is what it led him to. And he met a being inside there. And there were all these people walking around in a circle at the bottom of this area, deep, deep inside the earth. He also, before he got there, saw skeletons of tall beings, just the skeletal remains, dressed in attire and stuff in some of these cave rooms and things the further he went into the cave. But somehow he ended up in this big area, and this being met him, and he said his wife had passed, and he was told, and I'm really like making it really short because I don't know exactly what it all said now. He was told to sit there and wait, and he'll see his wife pass by. And so he sat there for a while. I don't know if it was a day or two, and he saw his wife, who had since passed. And he grabbed her by the hand, and he was told by the being that was down there, what did she tell him? You cannot look back. You can't look back, or something like that. I can't remember all the while. But he had his wife by the hand, and they were making their way back through the tunnels, or the whatever it was, the halls of this place. And something happened. I think maybe he looked back or something, and she vanished. She vanished, and he exited the cave in Death Valley or something. It was an opening in the ground, and he never could find his way back to that place again. And he wrote books about it, I think. Wrote about the tall beings and the skeletons and stuff. But then they, just thought, okay, you done lost it. They never could find the entrance when he wanted to go back. They couldn't. But inside the earth, see, that would be within this realm that we live in, but inside the earth, you all. It would be inside the earth. And there's like openings in like in mountains and things. Like people, like, what was it? It's like these, I don't know, Mount Shasta or something. I think there was something about Mount Shasta. This person going on a hike, and this tall being this tall being, long blonde hair or whatever, had seen them there, and there was an opening, a doorway and stuff, but I don't know if he was able to go in it, you all. There is talk of actually human-like looking beings inside the mountains and inside the earth. It's not all grotesque creatures. It's not. It's not all grotesque creatures. And it's not always Sasquatch, and it's not always reptilians. There are stories that people have told seeing reptilian-like, upright reptilians um, inside these caves and stuff that terrified them, and they really did terrify these people who had seen these. But it's not all, and it's not all the Sasquatch deep inside the earth and things like that. Yeah, hold on, put this down. I'm gonna get a hot flash. Put this phone down like this. I'm starting to get myself a hot flash, and I don't want to get one. Oh, my jacket's on the floor. Sorry, you all. I took the microphone off. The microphone came off with this right here. I gotta undo it from here, you all. We got technical difficulties at the moment. We do. I'm not going nowhere. I'm coming back. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. We had some technical difficulties. I threw it on the floor and had it attached there. But what was I saying? It's not all like Sasquatch under the earth. Okay, it's not inside there being enslaved by these beings, and it's not alien grays and reptilians inside the earth. It's not all that. See, it's all too easy to push that narrative and like real I don't know, monsters or something, where people are, this is a theory, but yet some say it's true. But this is another theory that inside the earth and these tunnels and stuff, there's deep underground like caverns and bunkers and a whole new system. And there is, if you look beneath the Vatican and stuff, it's just gross. It really is. Like rooms and walls made of bones and skulls, and it's kind of creepy. Now that ain't no myth. They got pictures of it, and I'm wondering. Um, they say down there is like sacrificial things, and in ancient times there's all this kind of religious ceremonies, like I don't know, sacred ceremonies that people would do, and they would offer offerings to these spirit beings inside the volcanoes, and I don't know whatever else, these gods that were back then. But deep inside the earth, we hear like there's deep military, and there's these bunkers, and there's people taken down in these in these tunnels inside the earth, and they disappear and they're never seen again. And there's also another theory. I'm just going to use the word theory, that they flood out the tunnels to try to rescue people and children and stuff from tunnels. Okay, that's the other theory. Try to rescue them and bring them out, because that's where all the people are going that are disappearing. They're going down into the tunnels in the earth. Now, there is another theory that the aliens in the ships, they're kidnapping the people. And a lot of people are being relocated to Mars or some other planet-like thing. There's another theory about that too. Other off-site planets. This is another scenario, off-site places to have it, to build up civilization there and take into places and use as slaves and things. But do we ever hear anything of a good nature that is coming from inside the earth? Now, really, we always hear the bad. Why is it? Why do we always hear the bad things? It's always bad. There's never a good spin on something. It's always a really bad spin. Really bad spin. What if at a certain level inside the earth, a certain plane, which is really a physical plane, there are like this bad stuff happening, but then what if below that plane deep, 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 deep inside the earth, there's good, a good story to tell. People have seen actual, somewhat human-like beings inside the earth, and they all weren't these carnivorous beings that like to eat humans and use them as slaves. What if? See, we don't hear the good side. It's always the bad and the scary and the terrifying that gets out there. That's what it is, the scary, the terrifying. We want to make the people, this is what a thing, let's get them really fearful, extremely fearful. So then let's think about the, was it Thoth, the Atlantean and stuff? Something about the pyramids and his ship. He's got a ship underneath the pyramids for when the invaders do come, they will get his ship out and he will fight off the invaders. And you know, there's lots of these, there's stories, theories, fables, myths, and reality that is retold of the Atlanteans and things like that, a race of beings. They were human-like too, that existed, and there's all different types. You got the Naga beings, they like them snake-like beings, and they can take human form too. And you have like beings that have like bodies of animals, and then the lower half and the upper half is the body of a human, like centaurs and stuff like that. And you have like cyclops and things like, there's all kinds of different types of species made in many different ways. Okay, there is. Hello, you all. So, inside the earth, we haven't studied the ocean. That is one place they really don't want to go and could. Well, let's think about this. So, if inside the ocean also you see the movies about who is, like, you have the Little Mermaid, there's kingdoms in there, the Little Mermaid. And what was that other one? This other movie came out about a battle happening in the waters, and this guy, like a trident or something, the staff, I can't even remember. That stuff is not coming to my mind, but there was a movie put out where the guy is like human, but he goes to he loves to swim in the water, and he somehow goes down into the water. Aquaman, thank you. Aquaman. That's in the oceans too. Do you think such places exist? They really are really good at bringing that out. And that wasn't all scary either. They didn't have the monsters down there. They didn't. They had like human-like beings inside the oceans. Inside the oceans. And they did have superior technology. They did. And so that wasn't all grotesque or nothing. It was just a battling, like a battling of armies and a battling for power inside the oceans, just like on top of the earth. But what about, say, if you're not deep inside the oceans to where the chasms happen, what about when the ocean water ends? What's beyond that? Is it just like a molten thing of ore, iron ore inside a molten ball beneath the oceans? Inside there? So if Admiral Byrd went into the opening, where Antarctica or wherever he went to, and he went inside the earth, he didn't encounter water when he went inside. And then how could that be? I don't think I heard of anything going through these waters. Or you have 20,000 leagues under the sea. What's that? 20,000 leagues under the sea. So is it that when they did the 20,000 leagues under the sea, did they, I can't remember, did they exit the water and then enter an area there where it was dry, like another plane of earth, where the water was like completely cut off because the water was like used as a barrier to keep this area clean from human activity, to keep them kind of secret. So deep, deep, deep inside the earth, an Admiral Byrd, he met with the leader of the inner earth, and I didn't hear anything, no description of no grotesque creatures, because I doubt if they were carnivorous, I doubt he would have made it out alive. I really do. I think they would have just ate him. They would have just ate him up. They probably would have, but they didn't. They didn't, and he was able to, have communication with them inside the earth. And this is like what, in 47? And he was told, this is our planet, this is our earth too. And we cannot have the humans doing what they did on top of the earth with the nuclear weapons and stuff. So he came back. He came back. And then after he comes back, the timeline on earth and the significant I don't know, information, Dead Sea Scrolls, and the Roswell, and all this stuff starts happening. We start getting a view of this other type of a world that exists outside of this human world. We start getting this type of a view that there's some type of a life. There's these Dead Sea Scrolls that got this information in it. And then all these different types of agencies start to spring up. It does. And then other things start happening, but it's not until he goes really to the center of the earth, more or less, and meets with the inhabitants of the earth. And then all this sci-fi, more sci-fi stuff starts coming out, and they talk about you have the valiant Thor coming, the UFOs and stuff come out, and then something happens further on the earth's timeline, and everything is hush, 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 hush. They want to be silent. No more speaking of UFO activity. No more speaking of what did happen. Hush, hush it. Because people start writing about UFO sightings, and it starts the curiosity starts to grow and grow and grow, because people start seeing things and they start investigating, and then they are told, stop it. They get visitors, stop it. And they're terrified and they stop it. And then fast forward to where we are now on the timeline of Earth. And now there's interest, more interest about UFO. They're speaking about unusual activity occurring. And some say that, Earth has a bubble, a firmament around, over it. We're stuck inside of this snow globe. We're stuck inside of this snow globe, and nobody penetrates it. That's why when they launch their things, there's like something that happens. They're trying to break through this big old snow globe that we're in. And there's no UFOs. If there's UFOs, they're coming from inside the Earth. There's no space. There's no planets. There's no nothing. That's this other theory. There's no nothing. So if there is no nothing, then above us, then what's below us? What is below us, you all? There is a theory that, we're just a plane. It's just like a flat plane. There is no round nothing at all. Nothing. There's all these different things, and it's so confusing. If you try to become an expert, a subject matter expert in all of these things, there's no way you're going to keep a straight mind. I don't know how you can, because your mind's going to be poked in all these areas. Unless you're like AI, then you got knowledge in all of these areas, but you're just AI. You're not a human trying to figure out this life on this earth that has so many different types of theories of how life even originated on the earth, how it even originated, and then how old the earth is. Okay? There's all kinds of things. You just pick a subject and just start diving into it, you all. But really, to get back, is it possible that there is other life that exists, not in the interdimensional realms, but in this Earth-like realm, inside the Earth, inside the oceans themselves, but deep, deep, deep in the Earth? And is it possible that there is not all this grotesque creatures, all this carnivorous stuff that is happening, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not, because you got the bones in the caves and under the Vatican and all these skulls, and it's kind of gross architect. It kind of grosses me out. It doesn't have a good feeling to it. But what if there are other species other than those that like to use bones as architecture? What if there are more human-like, benevolent-like beings way, way, way inside the earth, and there's another world inside of there, and there are like streets of gold, precious jewels and stuff lining the walls. These are highly evolved beings inside the earth, and they're living their life, and they're very more superior than any human being. They have more advanced psychic abilities, healing abilities, all of this, but they're existing. And if so, do they have the ability to reproduce like human beings? Okay, do they? So we know that we hear horror stories about the inner earth. But then we hear these make-believe dinosaur stuff, Journey to the Center of the Earth, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Aquaman, and this other realm that exists. I really do want to talk more on this. I do. About, like, is it possible deep inside the earth, kind of human-like uh, beings that do not eat, that are not carnivorous, okay? Just like in the Lord of the Rings. You had the different types of races. You had the dwarfs, you had the elves, you had the man, you had the birds that came, the five armies, the orcs, and all of these battle. So the battle of the armies, isn't that interesting? J.R. Tolkien tells of this place. It's supposed to be a fictitious place that is supposed to exist. But notice how Sauron, the white wizard, who was supposed to be good, but he turned bad, he goes inside the earth. And he tells them before they rip out all the trees, he creates these beast-like beings, these orcs. These orcs. They just so happen to be carnivorous, and they eat meat. They like to eat meat. They do, but he's inside the earth. He's got all these fires of industries. He's got the fires going, and he's making these creatures. They're so creepy. Making these creatures. I don't know how he made them, but it's evil. He's evil. He turns out to be evil, creates this army for this dark lord. And the one part that really creeped me out is when he has this one monster with human body, but his evil, sharp razor teeth. And there's this skinny, like, thing he did create. This thing comes out of this placenta-like thing. You can see it as he's coming out. It's covering the outline of his grotesque face and body, and he stands up. This monstrous thing, his chest is sticking out. It's full of muscles and stuff. And he takes his hand and he grabs that thing beside him. He squeezes his neck like that. That creeped me out. It really did. So that is one level. That's one level inside the earth. And that is a level where bad stuff goes on. He has them doing their mining and stuff. He's doing all this kind of stuff. That would be like one level. But what's beneath that other level? And then, okay, now then, we'll talk about the other level. How Gandalf, the good wizard, the Gandalf the White. He was Gandalf the Gray. But as he was going through the halls of Mordor, or whatever it was, to where the elves, not the elves, the dwarfs were, deep inside were these beings, these creepy, creepy beings, these orcs and these goblins or whatever it was that were created. And they did like to eat humans. But he's leading the group of humans out, and they come down these halls where the elves, not the elves, the dwarves live, the great halls inside the earth. And then the fire beast comes. He knows this fire creature. What is he? He's called Belnock. Is that what it? Belrock? It's coming after them. And he runs, and they go across this great big chasm. And as the people are getting across, the remaining humans, they jump. And Gandalf stands behind, and there's that fire beast with his big whip like that. And he says, he takes his staff and he said, "You shall not pass." And as he does, he's determined in his spirit, and that thing knows he's determined because it could feel it because he's got his power. He takes his staff, he bangs it down. The bridge thing collapses, and Gandalf can't come back. He starts to turn around because that beast starts falling down into the bottomless pit. And then he starts walking. They think he's going to make it, and all of a sudden the fire whip comes up and it grabs him by the ankle. And he's hanging on the ledge, and they say, "Gandalf," and he tells them, "Run, run, you fools." And then he falls. So then he falls. And then it's suggested that he's dead, that he is no more, and they're mourning the loss of their friends. But when he comes back, he tells how he fought that beast. He fell and he fell and he fell and he fell and he fell, and he battled him the whole while until he finally defeated that creature. And he, to the highest, I forget how he describes it, inside the earth, different levels, and he rests on this ledge, this place, and this light comes to him. And then he's renewed and he's refreshed. And then that's when Gandalf the Grey becomes Gandalf the White. A breath of life is brought back into his body. Like that. He's not dead. And he comes back to his friends as this light being. He does. In this forest that is somewhat alive. And they're terrified at his presence because he was dead. They saw him. But he told them what happened. That's deep, 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 deep inside the earth. So why did J.R. Tolkien have those two scenarios of those beasts with the mean white, who was supposed to have been good, the white wizard? What was his name? Saruman the wise? Well, he wasn't wise. He was pretending, but he joined forces with the darkness. He did. And the Gandalf the Grey never did join. But he was he was able, once he came back as Gandalf the White, overpower that. And it ends like the king comes back and they defeat all the armies of darkness, and they have their 1,000 years or whatever where they can be together. And the king has married one of the beings, and elf beings and stuff like that, who were able to see into the future. Yeah. So there's like a glimpse of like this life that exists outside of this human realm right here, but yet it's an earth, it's on the earth or inside the earth or into the far reaches of the earth in certain areas. So it's not all grotesque like those beasts and like, the tunnels and all of that kind of stuff, where there are carnivorous beings wanting to eat up all humans and animals and stuff like that. There's like there's stories of human-like beings that are benevolent in nature, benevolent and far more superior than these beasts that are around, that are doing whatever they're doing according to certain theories and stuff. And yeah, so I would like to talk more about that, but at another time, but because I am. If the Lord wills, and if it's meant, I am going to speak on it. It cannot be, you cannot have all grotesque and all bad things when you speak of other different types of life. It's all scary and evil. There's got to be the other side. There's got to be the other side, because there's got to be some form of balance in this realm, this earth plane, and all of that kind of stuff, because we can't be alone. We're not. And they're not all spiritual and interdimensional. No, I think there is physical as well. It's physical as well, you also. Is it possible for there to be life in the ocean and even beneath the ocean. Okay, there's something, there's a missing equation. There's something they're not speaking about, just like the lost city of Atlantis and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, all of it. There's something so much more. There's bound to be. And I am going to go, you all. I did want to come on here and say that. That's right, you all. I am. Thank you for coming on here this morning. I think it's nice to come on in the mornings. It helps wake me up. It really does. It causes some more mental alertness to get me on my day. It does. Um, yeah. You all, remember I said in the community section I would do a daily update thing where you could type stuff. It looks like it's already dwindling off because I don't know if that's really a good idea, if I should keep doing it because, like, what do you want to share? Yeah, I mean, it starts as a good thought, but then I don't know if it would even take off because, we have this video where you can comment too. Um, yeah, I don't know if it's something that I should continue or not. I mean, I could just, I was thinking in a survival mindset, if there's something you got to get out, somebody can go to that community section and they could see it. If we didn't have a communication in a video format, because sometimes YouTube, you can't watch videos at times, so they just keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. Yeah, namaste. Yeah. So I am going to go, you all. And with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your morning, you all. Love you. Thank you, Apple Brooks. If you're on here, I think I saw you, Apple Brooks, honey. Yes, I did. And if there's any other moderators, thank you. And thank you all for spending some time this morning on here. It's good. Love you.